Who do you cheer for in racing?
Pittsburgh Penguins.
Who do you cheer for in racing?
Oh, racing, sorry. That's
perfect.
Let's restart that.
No, that's good. That's the first outtake that
we gotta restart that.
Tour. He's impressed over the years. He has scored podiums last year. McRae's going to drive it in deep. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air. McRae might get one more opportunity. He slips up again, the gap, a couple car lengths. Conroy can see it in his mirror. He's just got to hit his marks. McRae really driving in deep. This time by, the white flag will be in the air. The kid looking for his first win. The veteran, the champion, looking to find his way to victory lane. Conroy, perfect through 1 and 2, down the backstretch. McRae's not going to get to him. He's been close before. He's had wins taken from him, but Travis Conroy's going to take the checkered flag, and he's going to get to keep it. Conroy first.
You know what? I probably just stepped on Denver's call there on the back straightaway, but Denver, that was a great call you made on Saturday. Congratulations on becoming an announcer, producer, flagman, whatever other jobs you have. Congratulations on that.
I'm retiring, Tim. That's it. I'm done.
We're
retiring.
One and done. So that's like Brittany
done.
Hoyt with the flag girl thing in Miramichi, right? She's one and done.
Just like me in the staff race.
Wait, no. You said you're coming back for the staff race.
Barry told me we're not having one anymore, so.
Well, we're going to have a conversation with him about that.
I agree.
Welcome to Tim's Corner, episode 19. This is going to be a fun evening. Got a stacked lineup of guests. Travis Conroy's waiting in the wings. Destiny Enkel's going to join us, and then Danny Harvey. I'm excited to talk to Danny Harvey tonight because it's been a long while since I've caught up with Danny. That's going to be a fun evening. But Dylan, how are you enjoying? It's not lockdown anymore. It's phase 1. How are you enjoying phase 1?
I'm enjoying it because I wasn't arrested going into Lunenburg County today. So went to work in Bridgewater at my radio station, and it was nice just escaping, going out of my community. It's nice, and what else can I say? Beautiful weather after we had some rain this morning, and too bad again. Nice weather coming up on the weekend, but no racing in Nova Scotia. But there is some testing, though. A lot of drivers are starting to really work on their stuff, Tim, even at the dirt track in the valley.
You know what? It kind of looks like I spoke with Greg Dow a little bit in Sydney. Obviously, they made their official, writing on the wall announcement that June's not happening. You kind of talk to Scotia Speed World and some of those around. And you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and look at the restrictions. We could, and that's a very loose could with everything that's changing, be racing in phase 3. Phase 3 starts with what was potentially the Atlantic bubble on June 30, which means July 3rd might be a pinch point in Nova Scotia, but we'll wait and see. We don't know exactly. We don't know what crowds are going to give us. The Racing with Fans deal, obviously, some racetracks need fans to make their business model work. Denver, I know you guys last year in Miramichi were going to make it work, and then you had a couple of fans in the grandstands. I know from doing Sydney last year and doing a race at Scotia, it's not the ideal situation on a business side. So I know there's some restrictions that are being waited to be lifted in New Brunswick as well, but also Nova Scotia to really get this racing season kicked off.
For sure, Tim. Like you said, it's not ideal. And ultimately, if you can't put fans in the stands, the majority of tracks, your operations shift from, trying to make money and be a viable business to just survival, and that results oftentimes in reduced payouts. I mean, sometimes we've seen a couple tracks be able to make payouts work, but if you only have 50 people on the property, it's pretty hard to pay the bills and pay the drivers. So it's certainly not ideal, but brighter days are coming. We are seeing lots of positive news. We just got to kind of wait it out and be patient here. And we're still not sure if New Brunswick, what's going to happen this weekend, if 660 will be able to have fans or what will go on there. But 75% the drive to Doug Matchett is only a little bit away, so we're not far off.
Doug Matchett, Doug Jago, whatever you want to use for your 75. Emily Meehan, she's from Nova Scotia though, so and she's retired, I guess now, or semi-retired. So
Denver, do you want me to join the New Brunswick number? Because I got my vaccine yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, that's another, I don't know, 0.001%. We'll take it all right now.
Sure.
Can we share numbers so we can get to 75? Nova Scotia's numbers are actually looking better, so I'm excited for that. But let's start talking some racing. Before we go into our first guest, you did mention Speedway 660. The word that I was told was we're waiting until tomorrow to see what the fan racing, what have you situation is going to be. I know we're live on the Speedway 660 page. So usually our pre-race advance day is Wednesday, and there was no pre-race advance. So I've already got the question. I know we got it last week when Petty International Raceway didn't send one. So right now we're in a wait and see mode to see what's going on. And that's all I know. So we'll let you know when we go forward. But let's welcome in our first guest, shall we? A driver of the number 7 in the Atlantic Modified Tour, and was going to victory lane last weekend when it came to Petty International Raceway. First win on his career in the modifieds, and it is Travis Conroy. Travis, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim. It's awesome. I'm blessed to be here.
Congratulations on the win. Petty International Raceway is not an easy racetrack to get your feet underneath you, and especially get that first win. What's it feel like to get that first win out from under you, and you know, now we can move on and get some more?
It felt amazing. I couldn't have done it without my crew though. Like I can't take all the credit for that. If I didn't have it for my crew there's no way I could have done it.
We are live and interactive here this evening with Travis Conroy. So if you have a question, comment, be sure to drop it below. We are live on the Tim's Corner Facebook page, as well as Speedway 660, another track the Atlantic Modifieds are going to visit here at the end of the month on June 26th. So I guess we'll start out. It's been a couple of years. You won the Rookie of the Year. You had a couple of really strong runs last year. Did that help you at all going into this season? How much preparation did you do from that 2020 season that was shortened into 2021?
A lot of hours in the shop, actually, under the car working on it, and a lot of help there as well for my crew, and we got excited there about halfway through the winter to get back on the track, and that's where the drive came. The countless amount of hours put in the shop and the dollars spent, but we finally got there, and it was nice to get back out on the track.
I want to circle back to the win, but I want to go back to the beginning, because you haven't been racing for very long in your racing career, and you've come up through the ranks fairly quickly. How did you get your start in racing?
Well, back in 2016, 17, something like that, Chris Sickles had an old 4-cylinder car, my Celica that I first drove. He wanted to put it in the demo, and then my brother ended up buying it off him for, I think, $200. And so I traded my brother a truck that I had because he got his license and had to have a truck for the road, or a vehicle for the road. So I traded him the race car for the truck, and then whenever I started that, and I had to get something faster every year, so I moved up and ended up in the modified.
It's funny how this works. Dylan, who do we have for a guest last week that drove a mini stock? 46.
Why am I blanking? Ryan McKnight.
Ryan McKnight. What does he drive?
He drives a Toyota Celica, or Celica, if you will.
Well, he did. So, Travis, I'll ask you, a bunch of Hondas in that division. You come out with a Toyota. Obviously, it's your rookie season, but what was the learning curve like to get up there, not only to be quick in the race car, but also be quick around those Hondas?
There's no way you'll ever beat a Honda unless you have a Honda. I firmly believe that, because that Celica just wasn't there, but it was just nice to get out around them and learn the cars, kind of get out on the track, I guess.
What was the biggest thing that you learned from the mini stock division? Because I know you swapped cars there going into your career in that mini stock class. What was the biggest thing, takeaway wise, that you could bring from that mini stock division?
Well, it's more or less just seat time, right? Just to get out with the other cars, get used to them being out there. I learned that it's not just to go out and turn left. A lot of people think. It's definitely not that. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned, is there's a lot more to it than just running circles.
Miramichi is one of those flatter racetracks. It's abrasive. It's different on both ends. You have to drive your race car to get around it. You kind of don't have that banking to catch you if you make that mistake. from learning in Miramichi, how much has that helped you to go to Petty Raceway and Speedway 660 and kind of go out to those different racetracks?
From driving Miramichi, like you said, it's different in every corner. When you go 1 and 2, it's a nicer corner. 3 and 4 is really, really hard to master, and I don't think to this day I've ever mastered 3 and 4. But it helped a lot with learning what the car likes and what the car wants. So when you go out there with a new car, when you come back from the off season, you get out on the track and you really learn how to feel a car and know what it wants and what adjustments to make.
So let's go back and revisit Saturday. It's a different feel with 50 fans in the stands, but it's still the Atlantic Modified Tour, 8 cars to start off the season. You pick up the heat win. What was going through your mind after you picked up that heat win going into that main feature?
My crew was pumped that we won the heat. When I come back in, everybody was pumped up. We won the heat, and my only thought was that was only one. We need to get the second one. I said we have a fast car, but we need to make it faster. So there's hungry guys behind us.
And there was one that seemed to be chasing you all race long. But as a race car driver, and I know you guys have had a couple of races with slow starts. There was a one incident, I think, on lap 0 where everybody wanted to win behind you in lap 1, turn 1 sort of thing. As a race car driver, getting a couple of those cautions off to start, how did that change the momentum-wise leading into what was a green flag run?
To me, it was just mindset, just to keep calm in the car and to do the same thing over and over. So when we took the green, I had my spotter, James Matchett. He was in my ear and just keep me calm in the car. And then when we lined up, I just made sure I did the exact same thing over again to make sure that I could get the jump.
I wanted to ask you about James Matchett, and I guess I'll bring it up now because for those that know New Brunswick stock car racing, they know James Matchett, Eastern Super Mini Cup Series champion. He's won in street stock. He's done everything that he set his mind to. How important is it and influential is it to have James Matchett on the call in your ear as a spotter?
Makes a world of difference. I ran a lot of different spotters and tried a lot of different people. If James couldn't make it to a race, then I was, running around the pits looking for another spotter. A lot of different people in my ear, and there's nobody that can contest him. And I've said that from day one. There's something that he does that makes it different and keeps me 150% calm in the car at all times. It's real weird, our bond that we have. It just makes it so much easier to drive the car.
For a guy that's been around ovals for so many years, what was the biggest piece of advice James gave you getting into a race car and getting into this Atlantic Modified Tour?
He's given me enough of them.
At least something we can share.
Yeah, that's right. Something PG.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say just consistency. That's one thing that he's taught me this year, especially, is just consistency. To run the exact same lap every time, so it's easier to set the car up, and you know what it wants. You run, if you don't run consistent, it's pretty near impossible to set a car up.
Now you go into that feature, we get a couple of cautions to start off, and then we get some green flag racing in, and it seems like you pull away and you have a rabbit kind of chasing you and Yves McRae. Yves has won everything there is to win through his career and won the Atlantic Modified Tour Championship last year. So you look back and you see that bright green machine behind you. What was the mindset as you guys ran around Petty Raceway for 35 laps?
Just to keep them there. That's all I was thinking about, is, like I said earlier, run a consistent line, do everything in my power to make sure my car stayed faster than him. And as long as he was in my rear view, that's all that mattered.
You've raced with him for a little while now, the last couple of years in this Atlantic Modified Tour, but this Atlantic Modified Tour has a lot more veteran drivers compared to the young start like yourself. You got Joe Hoyt and Doug Matchett. Those guys, Zine Dutcher was on the podium. Those guys know a thing or two about getting around a racetrack. Is it intimidating at all to see those guys around you with all those wins and all those championships in this series?
My first year in this car, yes, it was very. They come up and get close to me, and it was very intimidating. And then like after a year in that car, you just kind of learn to put that behind you. And as you're racing, you don't think about that anymore. It's just about who can get to the stripe first.
So you get across the line, you get that first feature win. Obviously, there's no fans in the stands to celebrate with. There's only 50, I guess, in the stands. But how relieving was it to get that checkered flag and be able to celebrate at a racetrack like Petty Raceway?
there was no feeling like it. I was on the phone with James the next day, and that's what I said to him. There's no feeling like that first win. To finally see your car coming across the line first, and it gives you a nice feeling for sure.
Now, I want to look ahead in a second, but we are live and interactive. We're on the Speedway 660 Facebook page. We're also on Tim's Corner Motorsports. Be sure to drop a question or a comment. Keep Dylan Langell busy here this evening, because I know we were busy doing double duty last week. Dylan, what do you have over there on social?
I've got nothing right now, Tim. Everyone's
Wow.
being a little shy. I know that Jordan Vino's watching because he wrote to me that I shouldn't be liking his statuses in the middle of this. I should be getting questions. So Jordan, bring a question on for Travis. Travis, I want to let you know as well, I picked you for our picks.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So you're welcome. I get a question for you though, pal. With the tracks on the AMT Tour coming up here, you've already won a Petty. There's a 660 race, Miramichi and Shediac. What track are you looking forward to next coming up?
I really like Fredericton. That's a really, really fun track to run. I love the momentum that the speed he can hold through the corners. I won a heat race in 2019, I believe, in Fredericton, and that's next on the bucket list is to take home a feature from that track.
Do you have to change the car a bunch between the tracks? I mean, Petty's probably the most high bank track there. Miramichi's rough and tumble, a little different. Shediac pretty flat as well, like 660. Do you have to do a lot of changes in the garage after a weekend?
Not a whole lot. It's just some setup stuff as far as stagger goes and wedge and a couple of things like that, but nothing major that we have to change really.
Well, Tim, again, we need some questions here on Facebook, so feel free. Travis is here for a little bit, and it's not often we get too many modified drivers, and that's a class I'm not super familiar with, Tim, because I'm from Nova Scotia, right?
And I wanted to ask you that because your first modified experience was the Mike Stevens race last year, right?
Correct.
So what did you think of the Atlantic Modified Tour when you saw it for the first time? Because you've seen Valley Dirt, you've seen the Pro Stock Tour, you've seen IWK 250s. What was your first thought and experience with this Atlantic Modified Tour?
Well, I just remember during that feature, I mean, they were going 3 wide on the front stretch at a turn 4, and I was holding on for dear life with Jesse Thompson, the announcer booth. I mean, it was just such great action. And the thing with open wheel racing, that's something I'm not too familiar with. So when I'm announcing the show, I'm seeing drivers like Travis and Eves getting within inches of their tires touching each other. And I'm thinking someone's going to flip here. But the action was just so intense on the track. And I can't wait to see the AMT Tour at a Miramichi, or, well, I guess the second race would have been at Miramichi, and that's when we had some bad wrecks there, unfortunately. But a 660 as well. So there's a great variety, and hopefully one day we can get the tour back in Nova Scotia.
And Miramichi is coming up. And Travis, since you are the point leader, does that change the mindset at all going into 2 weeks' time?
We're just going to put a lot more hours in the shop and make sure that we have a 110% ready to go race car by next Saturday.
So now that the first win is out of the way, how much pressure is there to back it up with that second win?
I've talked to a lot of people about that this week, and they're all saying that I got a big target on my back now. I won the first one, now I got to keep it going. So we'll see what happens.
And Dylan kind of alluded to this schedule coming up because Petty Raceway is not back on the schedule until August 28th. With the way that everything worked out, obviously the opener was supposed to be 2 weeks before, and some things changed with the schedule. The next time you're there is August 28th. So how excited are you to be kind of volleying the ball back and forth between Miramichi and 660?
Well, it'll save a lot of time in the shop. Like I said, changing what we have to on the car. We both tracks, 660 and Miramichi, are both kind of the same as far as banking goes. So that way there, we can set the car up for one track and make minor adjustments for the other. And then just, like I said, see what happens.
One thing that's kind of unique about the Atlantic Modified Tour schedule, and you guys did it kind of last year on Speed Weekend where there was a non-points race and a point race and kind of a day in between. But now this year, that long weekend, I believe in August or the weekend before, there is a double header on a Saturday and a Sunday, and they're both for points. So how do you prepare for a double header weekend like that, knowing that could very well not necessarily decide the championship, but be a big weekend either way?
Just keep a lot of spare parts in the trailer. Make sure we have one of everything that we know might break that weekend. and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to fix it. Whatever we do tear up, we'll be able to fix it before the next day. There'll be a lot of working on race cars and trailers for sure that weekend.
We are live and interactive. Be sure to drop us a comment. And Dylan, I know Facebook kind of changed a little bit this week. I know Paul was telling me they were doing some updates and everything else on the live side. So do not be afraid. Drop us a comment. Maybe drop us a star or two, and get involved and get interactive here with the conversation. We got Destiny Enkel and Danny Harvey coming up a little bit later on. But I know, Denver, you've been chomping at the bit over there. I see the wheels turning up there. What do you got for Travis Conroy?
Well, first of all, Travis, congrats on the big win. That was an incredible performance. And I mean, you had to hold off the best of the best in Eve McRae. Like, no better way to get that big win. I want to start off by asking a bit of a loaded question here. So last year, most of the modified drivers were still running the P tire that the past series runs in Maine. You kind of went a little bit of a different route, running the 1070, which in the opinion of many was a disadvantage compared to the P tire. Now this year the rules have changed and the 1070 is the tire on the Atlantic Modified Tour. So do you think making that switch last year was an advantage and helped you, and it will help you going forward in 2021? And do you even notice a difference between the tires?
I do notice a big difference, and the reason that we went to 1070s last year is because they were more readily available, and I knew that there was a small chance of us going to them this year, the whole tour, like make it mandatory. So I thought, I talked to the crew and I said that, it's probably a good idea to put 1070s on and run them. I said, we can get them anywhere, they're cheap, and it looks like they're going to go to 1070s next year. So we put them on and noticed a big difference. They're a harder compound tire, so they feel slippery, but when you get a car set up on them, then you can roll. And they do last a lot longer, so they're a lot easier to set a car up because they're so consistent.
For sure, and you saw that on the weekend, and it definitely seemed to help. And I want to ask you, we talked about the rest of the season, but like you said, the target's on your back. But the way the modifieds do their lineups, it goes by the handicap, which means that your handicap currently sits at 100. You have a perfect score after getting maximum points, but the downside to that means you got to start shotgun. In Miramichi. So what do you think of that? How are you going to work your way up through the field on June 19th?
Just be patient. I'm not going to try to force any issues or anything like that. Just be a sitting duck, I guess, and sit at the back and wait for stuff to resolve itself. If we have the car, then we'll be there, and if not, then we're just going to run around and see where we end up.
I know it's a bit of a touchy subject with some other drivers, but definitely 3 wide on lap 0, 1, 5 is not a good idea, as we saw on the weekend. But so let's look ahead 2021. You got the modifieds. Is there any other plans for you to run anything else? I know you've mentioned before maybe looking at some street stock races, or is it going to be strictly a modified schedule this year?
I think this year we're just going to stick modified. Maybe next year we're going to move to something else, see what's available. But this year it's looking like, because we have so many events in the modifieds, it's looking like we're going to stick with that.
I want to throw a question at you, and kind of this ties in with Dylan Langell. So Dylan, get ready for this.
I know. I have an idea where this is going.
So you entered a van in a demolition last year at Speedway Miramichi, and it didn't go very far, but it went into the mud pit. Let's hear the story about that, because a few weeks later it ended up in Dylan Langell's possession.
Yes. I bought the van. My boss at Patterson's had it, and it was just going to the junkyard. So I said, give me that van and I'll do something with it. So anyway, I ended up getting it. I brought it home, and I planned on putting it in the demo. And when I got there that day, I said, there's the most amount of cars that's ever been at the track. I said, I'd rather stand outside and watch it. So I wanted to do that, but at the same time, I still wanted to put on a show. So I said, well, I'll go out and see if it will spin, and then I'll throw it in the mud pit, and then I'll be done with it, leave it there. So that's kind of what happened there.
So Dylan, your van had a history to it. You got to appreciate the history.
Yeah, what the heck did you do to it? There was no accessory belt on that sucker.
No, she was running pretty warm there. We got her back in the pits.
Yeah, it lasted me 4 laps at the Very Best Fall shootout before it grenaded itself. And then I got it back out later for the figure 8, and then it died again when I got in the pit. So it lasted me a race and a half.
So I guess for those that are watching that, we had a couple of guys on last week that said the Miramichi demos are kind of too wild for them. And I'll pass. Give us a pitch for some drivers that might want to do something different and get into a demolition in Miramichi. Why should they head to Miramichi, especially with these, pro stock guys, sportsman guys that end their season in September? There's still 2 demolitions in October. Why should they head up?
Yes, it is crazy and a little wild, but it's fun. The cars don't really go fast enough to really get hurt. There has been people hurt in the past, but if you take the right precautions and all that good stuff, it's a good time.
You mentioned the looking at a possible division jump here in the next couple of years. With Miramichi not having a late model division, we've seen Ashton Tucker go through and make that leap and be very successful. So is there any idea as to what you might go to based on, what Ashton Tucker, what some of the other guys from Miramichi, Brady Kramer's in a Sportsman car that might interest you?
There's been talk, kind of letting the little cat out of the bag, but there has been talk about a Sportsman in the near future, but we're not sold on that yet. We're not too sure. Might stick with the modified and just keep running with that, but at the same time, I'd like to jump up in something else, either Sportsman or late model or something along those lines.
So let me pitch you this then, and Dylan kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. Let's say the modifieds want to expand and eventually move back to racetracks in Nova Scotia, maybe Prince Edward Island. They've been to Riverside Speedway before. They've been to Lake Dowsett, but it's been a while. Is there any racetrack that you kind of have on your radar that says, hey, I kind of want to run here?
I've always watched videos like YouTube videos of Scotia Speedway, and that always looks like a fun track. I'd like to get out there sometime and put laps on. Whether we have an event down there or not, I'd like to get out and put laps on in something. Looks like a very fun track.
And I think he'd do well, Denver, because it's flat. It's a driver's racetrack. Nothing against the high banked racetracks, Denver, but it's a driver's racetrack. I think you'd agree, right?
I would, Tim. I think that would be a perfect fit. You look at Scotia and look at 660 Miramichi and what Ashton Tucker did in the Pro Stock when he went there for the first time this year and damn near won the thing. So, it would be a great fit. And I know there's a lot of guys in the modifieds that would like to go to Scotia, lots that also want to go to Riverside. It would be interesting for sure. And, the other side to this discussion, Tim, is, Sportsman and Pro Stocks back in Miramichi someday. That would be pretty exciting, especially if Travis is moving up into one at some point in time. But, the modifieds right now is also a pretty sweet deal.
Are you putting words in Barry's mouth? Is that what we're doing?
Listen, we're always trying to put words in Barry's mouth, but we've said it 1,000 times, it all comes down to sponsorship dollars. So if someone wants to sponsor a Sportsman or Pro Stock race in Miramichi, get in contact with Barry and maybe sponsor Travis a ride too.
By the way, Dylan, did you see what just rolled in on the comments?
Oh no, it looks like Mr. Jordan Vino's here. So he'd love to do a Sportsman race in Miramichi. Barry, the drivers and the fans want it. Come on.
I'll tell you, Alex Johnson is another one that's been a strong proponent of it. He's got family in Miramichi. He told me that if they get a Sportsman race in Miramichi, he would be there. But it's just a matter of trying to find those dollars and trying to make it make sense. We talked earlier before coming on about this no fan deal in the grandstand in Nova Scotia. It has to make sense. And it's one of those deals that a Sportsman race has to make sense. And I don't know. Dylan, I think that if Jordan Vino was on the entry list for a Sportsman race in Miramichi, he'd be tough to beat.
Yeah, he's one of the heavy hitters in Nova Scotia and in New Brunswick, I guess. He's been pretty good at Petty, winning the Mike Stevens River Glade events before. And now he's one of those guys jumping up to a pro stock. So Travis, do you see a driver like an Ashton Tucker and think, well, if I had the money, and of course money's always the biggest thing, but do you think, well, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could jump to pro stock. What's in your mind there?
I'd like to. Like you said, it's a lot to do with the dollar aspect of it. And if we had it, we definitely go that route for sure.
Is modified racing, would you say, as affordable or kind of near there as like a 4-cylinder? We always hear the most affordable is going to be a bomber or a demolition derby car. Just go grab a van like you did from some guy and wreck it.
He's still not over that, if you can tell.
Is modified racing affordable in the sense of racing? Of course, racing is not the cheapest thing, but what about modifieds?
Modified's probably your cheapest rear-wheel drive V8 route. Like you said, either demo car or a bomber car would be your most affordable. But to get in the seat of a modified, I'm gonna throw out a dollar value, but to get in the seat of a modified, you're probably between 10 and 15,000. You can have a turnkey jump in and go modified.
Now, looking forward, obviously, in Miramichi, there's none of that Bandolero division. You had to start in that mini stock division and kind of work your way up. For those that might be on the fence in Miramichi that are saying, hey, I want to get involved in racing, what's the pitch? What can you tell them? Any kind of advice you can give them to get started in racing, whether it's demolition, a bomber, which is starting to grow now as a huge division, or, maybe even a modified?
Yeah, I'd love to see more people come into a modified, get into a modified, and make our field of cars grow. But if you're, a younger guy looking to get a car, I would go with mini stock. Bombers are fun, but at the same time, they're just kind of a get out and drive around with your friends. Mini stocks are competitive. If you want to get into racing to be competitive, I would buy a mini stock. You're only going to be into the car between $2,500 or $3,500, and you can be ready to go racing with your friends. So they're very competitive, and they're fun to drive.
We're live and interactive here on Facebook. I know it's kind of been a quiet night for Dylan Langella. They saw his face last week, and I think they kind of got scared. So drop a comment. Something like that. I
got my hair cut and I trimmed my beard and everything.
You're allowed to in Nova Scotia now, so we'll give you that. We're live and interactive. Drop us a comment. We got Travis Conroy here for a few more minutes. Looking forward this season, you guys do a lot of big races. You're with the Mike Stevens Memorial. You're with the Speed Weekend 250, the very best fall shootout. You're going to be a part of the Atlantic Championships this year in Shediac. Is there any one event you're looking forward to being a part of with the Atlantic Modifieds?
Speed Weekend every year. We started 2019 when it was our first year there, and it was, I think, the best weekend all year. So I'm really excited to get back there. Last year was kind of different because COVID, but hopefully this year will be a bit more normal, as they call it.
Now, I know you got a lot of supporters. I know your family is a big supporter of you. Your mother and your father are there every single race. How big is it to have them behind you cheering you on every single race?
It means the world that they actually support me. Some parents are totally against it, and it's dangerous, so you're kind of on your own, but my parents completely stand behind me, and it's awesome to have that behind you.
Now, I'm going somewhere with this. Has your father ever stepped in a race car before?
Yes, actually. So that Celica that we talked about earlier, I bought that. I went to that Civic, but I kept the Celica, and Dad actually got in that one day, and he blew it up on me. So that went to the crusher. And then when I bought this modified, I bought another Cavalier, the one that Zine Dutcher's young lad has now, Grayson Dutcher. I bought that Cavalier, and Dad raced that for, I think, a couple of events, and then we ended up selling that. It was just too hard to keep two cars going. So he has been in a race car, but
if I'm not mistaken, Travis, I think he has a podium in a street stock race too, does he not?
I'm not sure about a podium, but he was in the street stock.
I think after the unofficial, official, tech, whatever, I maybe was close to a podium, but...
So was there a trophy involved in that, Denver?
I don't know where the trophies went.
Okay, fair. Now, I was going somewhere with this. Barry's been talking about putting together a match division with the demolition, have a couple of drivers in that can go head-to-head in two equally prepared race cars. They'd be like demolition cars sort of thing, but they'd be a match race per se. So you put you and your father in one of each of those match cars. Who's going to win the race heads up?
That's a tough choice. I'll give it to him. He's a very, very good driver, experienced driver. He's got a lot of years on me, but I think that'll be a good run.
Tim,
that was wise though. That was the wisest answer I think we've ever had to that question on this show. Denver, what do you got?
I think we'd have to expand that race because, Travis, if I'm not wrong, I believe your mother, Michelle, is like a multi-time lawnmower racing champion.
Yes, she is.
So we have to throw Michelle into this race. Mark, Michelle, and Travis. And honestly, I'd like to see James Matchett in it too. The
We
whole
start,
group.
we start James like a half lap down or something because he's got like Eastern Super Mini Cup championships and won a bunch of big streets. Start him like a half lap down, right?
Half lap down in the 10-lap race, he'd be knocking on her back door by the end of it.
Nothing about making those cars wide though, right?
That's right. He taught me how to do that.
There you go. I see social starting to bubble up. Dylan, what do you got?
Yeah, it's starting to brew up here. And again, feel free to leave a comment. Adam Plord, a buddy who helped me fix that van. It always ties back to the van. He wrote, get in the bomber car and tell me it's not competitive. Travis, you dabbled in the bomber division at all at Miramichi, and would you think about maybe dabbling with it on a weekend that maybe the modifieds aren't there?
Myself, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but myself, I don't think I would, just because the modified and being in the mini stock. But it is a great affordable class for anybody that wants to get into racing and just go to have fun. I didn't mean that they're not competitive racers. It's just not as a competitive or a class as something like the mini stocks where you have guys like Rob Poirier, J.R. Lawson, Mitchell Poirier, those guys there that have been doing this for a few years and they're fast. They're hard to keep up to. But bomber division, there's definitely a lot of hungry guys looking for wins, and I think it would be a fun, affordable class if you're just getting into it. You want to not spend a lot of money, but get in the car and go. I think that'd be a route to go.
Tim, I think we got our first fight on a TCM Live. No, I totally understand what you mean there, pal. Speaking of going from minis to modifieds, though, Jason Pickles is a mini stock racer here from Nova Scotia, and he wrote, what's the biggest difference going from a mini stock to a modified? I got to figure, just even with horsepower, there's a lot there, right?
Horsepower is a big one, but also the front wheel drive, rear wheel drive conversion, and 6-inch wide tires to the 13-inch wide tires. There's a lot more tire on the ground. The cars are a lot faster. They're totally a momentum car because of the big tires, and they handle so well. All the adjustments, like all 4 jack and bolts, the adjustable panhard bar, third link trailing arm, all that stuff. It's totally different to get in a car, and when you smack the throttle, the car turns. In a mini stock, it doesn't do that. You smack the throttle in a mini stock, and it just wants to push to the wall. So it's a totally different feeling when you get in halfway through the corner, jump on the throttle, and the car just wants to turn.
And that would be one of the first things you notice with the big tires on the modified, that it's like just sticking right to the ground pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things is one is they like to turn themselves. They're set up so well to turn that you let go of the steering wheel, it'll pretty much turn for you. And 2 is that you can hold so much more speed through the corner because of the big tires.
Holy mackerel, it's like a self-driving race car, Tim.
Something like that. And to Denver's point, we are showing the B-roll from Speed Weekend last year when they did go 3 wide in that heat race. So I know Denver loves 3 wide in the modified, so it's glad we're showing that. But Travis, I know you don't do it alone. You got a lot of great sponsors, great marketing partners on that race car. Who makes that for you?
We got Patterson Sales. They've been with us since mini stock days, since I got my first car. We got this year. Morton Enterprises jumped on board. My cousin started a shop. We got Black River Welding Fabrication, Right Choice Auto Sales or Auto Parts, Big Wheels Auto Sales, Car Star Miramichi, Sign Warehouse, Popham Boys Trucking. We had Gippo on with us last year. They weren't able to get on this year. And we have Pronovo Snowblowers, N&N Trailers. I know I'm missing somebody. Miramichi Tree Service. I think that's all for this year. JC Plumbing. That's the last one.
And I want to ask you, because we just saw that B-roll of that car, the blacked out look. Where did you get the inspiration for that paint scheme?
Well, that actually came from James Matchett. We were gonna go with a red body on a black chassis, just the opposite of what we did the first year. and he brought it to my attention that it was either Pro Stock or Sportsman had that scheme, and it looked unreal. He said it looked unreal. That's the way to go, whatever. I said, okay, well, let's do that. I said, it sounds like a good idea, so let's do that. And then when we did it last year, the car looked good. It was just hard to see everything. So this year we decided to go with the black and light silver or white, if you will.
And it does look good on the racetrack, and it really looks good in Victory Lane. 1-for-1 this season. The next race comes up in 2 weeks' time, the Sutherland's Excavating Limited 35. We wish you all the best in Miramichi. Enjoy the win. Go get them in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That's Travis Conroy, driver of the number 7 in Denver. Speaking about the next event, it's going to be live here on Tim's Corner TV. Tell us about it.
Oh boy, Tim. The Day of Eights at Speedway in Miramichi. Tim and Dylan, you guys got to experience the Day of Eights here one season ago. Mm-hmm. And that was a wild race.
Yes,
Dylan's first experience. And you know what? It's going to be even wilder in 2021 because unlike last year, first of all, we're bringing the modifieds in. The Atlantic Modified Tour will make their 2021 Speedway Miramichi debut, but there's also another edition, a figure 8 trailer race.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
So
it's going to be wild.
How many entries do you have for that right
now? Right now, we haven't opened up registration yet, but we are expecting, I would say, in the low double digits for trailers, probably 10 to 15.
So and it's all going to be live on Tim's Corner TV, so you can head over there. The passes are not on sale yet. We're still waiting for obviously next week to begin and whatever else, but excited to have that on Tim's Corner TV, and you can go to that. The subscriptions, I believe, are going to start next week. Still have to double check with Chris and the boys at Speed Sport TV, but you'll have that as well. I know that question has come up, but all that information, Tim's Corner TV coming up, and we will have a crew at 660 on Sunday as long as we are green flag and good to go in the Gary Woods on Sunday. Speaking of a driver that knows a thing or two about Speedway 660, she is the current co-point leader in the late model sportsman division. Driver of the number 52 joins us now on Tim's Corner Live. It's Destiny Enkel. Destiny, welcome to the show. She needs to unmute her audio. There we go. Technology is great when it works, right?
I should really be used to these meetings, but
the Wi-Fi might be an issue, but we're going to try to work through this. The first race of the season is always one of those ones.
Technology.
Yeah, we all are. That first race of the season is always the one that, you get unloaded. Nobody really knows they've got for speed. You just go out and race. And with this COVID deal, there hasn't been a whole lot of practice, but you guys came out of the box really quickly. How big was that a shot in the arm to get on the podium and get that runner-up finish on the Riverview Ford Lincoln season opener?
Yeah, it was good. We finally, I feel like late last year, we were starting to finally get this car figured out. It took us a couple of years, but it's really good right now. We ran check late. It was really good. It was a really good car. I'm really excited to try it this year, and it will.
So looking forward now, obviously, that was a big show, and I want to ask you about the finish to that race because you had two really quick drivers ahead that both wanted the win, and neither of them got it. You ended up coming through that and finishing second. What did you see out of the windshield of the 52 when you were coming off of turn 4?
I didn't see exactly what happened. I was a little bit farther back, but we saw an opening at the checkered flag and we went for it. I was actually in the right place at the right time.
and came away with the good finish. We are live and interactive with Destiny Enkel. Be sure to drop us a question, drop us a comment. Sean Tucker is watching, so no pressure tonight. Let's talk about the heat race because that was kind of wild. Trying to follow along with who ended up winning that race. 2 cars in front of you make contact and not initially going to victory lane, but you ended up going to victory lane in that heat race. How huge was that?
It was good. It was a nice way to start the season. Yeah, at first they came back and got me later, and the race director came down and apologized, which is great. We love to, you know what I mean? We all make mistakes, but as long as we, You know what I mean? And I went and got my picture taken. And Michelle, when she was taking the picture, she said that like Clark pulled in there, and as soon as he pulled in, was like, "I'm not supposed to be here." So it all worked out. It was a good way to start the season.
So obviously, with the points the way they were, they had a little snafu on the website. But when they changed that heat race, you're going to be tied for the co-point lead going into what is race number 2, and it's supposed to be Kids Day coming up this Sunday. So what are you thinking going in now that you have a shot at the point lead, and you're leading the field going into Sunday's race?
I'm gonna try to not think about it at all and just float through the season, and whatever happens. We'll just do it one race at a time.
I know I spoke with Wade after the first race, and he called me on Monday, and he said, I don't know what the 52 car did or the 52 team did, what they found over the winter to be fast. We had Kenny McKenzie on the show last week, and he said they went through the shop and they found something that they thought was their Achilles heel that was preventing them from going to victory lane. Was there something that you guys found over the winter? What was it, something that you found that was magic? What did you guys do over the winter?
It was, as Dustin says, something that came to him in the shower one day before we went to Shediac, and that seemed to be great. It's worked great so far.
So far, so good. We are live and interactive with Dustin the Enkel. Make Dylan busy over on social media. Drop us a question, drop us a comment, and we'll get it on the air here. So let's step back a little bit. We just had Travis Conroy on the show. They don't have Bandoleros in Miramichi, but that's where I'm going with this. How did you get your start in racing?
I started racing go-karts, and then when Bandoleros came to New Brunswick, the first year there was a whole bunch that moved over, like a whole bunch of my friends from go-karting, and I really wanted to go with them. And my dad first was like, no, we'll just wait. So then the next year we came in and we raced bandos for like 3 years. It wasn't our thing. We did not do well in a bandolero. I often say now that I think if we would have tried another year in a bandolero, I don't know if we would have kept racing. We were just not having a good time. The opportunity came up to go to a street stock, and we did that, and we loved that. We had a great time. We had so much fun. And then, now we're in a Sportsman. We moved up 4 years ago now.
The results might not have been there, but I want to ask you about being a part of that boom of bandoleros at 660, because it went from, just a couple of cars to 25 overnight. How cool was it to be a part of that first class?
No, it was great. And there's still lifelong friendships, and, it's cool to see us all, when you go back and see pictures of us and all of our, I love little kids in fire suits, and then to see us all grown up now and still, somewhat together is cool. I'm glad we did it, don't get me wrong. It was a great experience, but it just, we just didn't have much, wasn't our thing.
We've seen drivers, though, that don't have that necessarily result in bandolero, that once they move up, they get results, and it showed in the street stock. You ended up going to victory lane. You had some really good finishes in that street stock. What do you remember about those street stock days?
I love street stock. It was so much fun. They're just very unpredictable. Every lap they feel a little bit different. I don't know if that will make any sense, but it's just a great time and a great group of people, and they're a lot of fun. I think everybody should race a street stock if they ever get the chance.
What's it like racing with guys like Rick Cashel and Roger Slocum and those older guys that know a thing or two, and then yourself and Courtney and Peter Martin and those kids from bandoleros moving up into street stocks? How cool was it to have that new guard race against those guys that have been there for a while?
Yeah, I mean, me and Ricky had a great time in street stock. I've known Ricky since I was a baby. We have a picture of me at one of the when they used to do they'd take the kids out onto the racetrack and do a lap and intermission. We have a picture. I'm about 6, and I went with him, and that was always funny. Once we started racing together, me and Ricky have a lot of great memories. I was once a ramp to Ricky, and we go on viral. I don't want to say viral, but that picture comes up a lot on Facebook of me and Ricky, and he signed a copy and gave it to me. He used it for his fan day pictures one time and passed it out, and then he signed one for me. Love Rick. Yeah, we had a great time. It was a great time racing with Courtney too, and Peter Martin and all those people you mentioned, and Roger Slocum. Arnold Stoke was a great person. Yeah, it was a great time.
And then you move to late model sportsman, and that is a division that has grown in leaps and bounds. It's kind of come back a little bit in car count the last couple of years, but to move from a Bandolero to a street stock to a sportsman, how was that progression driver wise? How much did you have to learn from a Bandolero up to a street stock, and then from a street stock up to a sportsman?
From a Bandolero to a street stock, I don't necessarily remember. I mean, obviously Bandoleros, you mostly keep your foot on the gas the whole way around the track, and then street stocks are a little bit different. They're a little bit harder to stop. Obviously, they're a fair bit larger. The transition from street stock to sportsman, the big thing I struggle with is like throttle control, that you can't come out of the corner and just like get on the gas just as hard as you want to and things like that, because there's just more power in things and you can't. And that's still something I'm working on, trying to get better at. So.
Now, looking forward in this season, there are a lot of big races coming up. You guys have a lot of big races at Speedway 660. Obviously, Speed Weekend is huge. The Firecracker is big. Is there anything sportsman-wise this year you're really looking forward to with all this COVID, and hopefully it moves such a way you're forward?
Yeah, we have a 200 lap race this year. I don't know how I feel about it. It's a little intimidating. It's the middle of the summer. It's going to be wicked hot. That's a little scary. We'll see how that goes. I love long races. They're usually my jam, but that 200 laps is frightening me a little bit. But it's fine.
We got the Oblina decision to fight here a couple of weeks ago. I pissed off against the halfway. As a driver, you don't have to get out and service the race car, so I'll ask you, because Dustin apparently is not here to fight as a crew member.
He told me to go.
You go 200 straight laps and have those 5 pit stops like they do in the 250, or would you prefer?
I mean, I think my crew isn't very young. I don't I don't think live pit stops are very we're not ready for that. We haven't been practicing.
Well, they've got a month or so to practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, Braun's a wicked gas man because he's huge, but like, no, I think I'd like the break too, to know it's there.
Well, with it being a hot day, it's probably going to be something that you're going to want when you get to lap
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't have a cool shirt. I always said I didn't want one. I'm kind of regretting that decision, but I've made it this far. I'm going to go with it. But
exactly.
Fingers crossed, it's not a heat wave.
Those night races are cooler than these daytime races that we have at 2 o'clock, right?
Right.
Yeah. We are live and interactive. I still see some comments rolling in. Dylan Langell, get busy. What do you got?
Well, I can see that the Tuckers are watching. We already mentioned that. And Destiny, you're kind of with racing royalty, I would say, in New Brunswick. The Tucker name, very well known with Sean, of course. How does that feel that you're essentially part of that group?
I mean, it's fun. Sean just kind of lets us do, like, I don't know how to say it. He lets us do our own thing for the most part. If he has some advice, he'll eventually key in. But for the most part, he doesn't give us, or me personally, he doesn't really critique me too much. He usually tells me I'm too much of a gentleman. I get that a lot. But yeah, no, it's good. We all have a lot of different stories, and I love hearing their stories. And I spend a lot of time like hanging out with them at the shop. A lot of what they says goes over my head. I try to follow them a little bit, but you know.
Jordan Vino's still watching. You've had the chance to race against him, and he's wrote that you need to get down to Scotia one time to play. Have you dabbled in Nova Scotia racing at all, or is this completely something new potentially?
I haven't. I would like to do that. Me and my dad have had a deal for a couple of years now, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get there. That I would love to go down like Antigonish IWK weekend. And the deal is that once I win 3 feature races, I will get there. But I mean,
I thought it was 1.
There's not much.
I thought it was 1 at one point. What happened to 3?
Was it 1? Maybe he went down to 1 and I was back to 3. I don't know. I know it was. I think it started out as.
You'll renegotiate that with him, right?
I'll have to renegotiate. I think at one point he brought it down to like, you know what, if you just finish on the podium 3 times. but I don't know what it is anymore, but maybe someday.
Dylan, do you got anything else over there?
Well, I see Barry Richard still watching. And Destiny, have you dabbled in some Miramichi racing? And another question with this, Sportsman racing up there. A lot of drivers seem in favor to maybe bring their Sportsman car up there. What about you?
I raced Miramichi when I had a Bandolero and a street stock. I don't. I would like to be open to going there in a Sportsman. I would have no problem. We like to go everywhere, so yeah, I would love to go to Miramichi someday, and I'd love to go to Scotia someday, and Annie Ganesh if I ever make it.
Now, the other half to this, and I know you and Dustin are friends with Jeffrey Breen, so if Jeffrey Breen comes to Fredericton, you guys have to go to Annie Ganesh, right? Is that the way it works?
Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing, but
it's a thing now.
I don't know, but we do. We usually help Jeffrey. I mean, I try to help Jeffrey. IWK weekend, and we usually have a lot of fun. I usually get injured when I try to be on a pit crew, as you know. I'm much safer strapped in the car. But we have a lot of fun helping Jeffrey on IWK weekend. I have the lug nut burn on my knee to prove it. It's a great time.
Wasn't there a thing at Scotia? Because I remember Brad Mann calling the pit stop, and I think you were helping Sarah, right?
There might have been a thing at Scotia. I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll just leave that as it is.
Fine. Like I said, safer strap in the car.
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure Sarah will tell the story, but she's not here, so she can't defend herself. Let's look back to that opener, because Dustin got back in the race car for the first time in a couple of years, and he had a really good run in that pro stock for being out of the seat for a couple of seasons. But you got a second place run, so has there been any sort of like back and forth that the best 52 car was the Sportsman car on the first day?
No, we really haven't. We haven't done that. I mean, if my car goes good, he's a big part of that. So I wouldn't like to be like that. We usually have a deal that the loser buys the post race McDonald's. Well, we used to have that when we first started dating, but obviously our finances are one now, so that doesn't really work anymore. But we'll have to come up with something. You're right.
We're live and interactive. Drop us a question, drop us a comment. Denver, what do you got for Destiny Enkel?
Well, Destiny, I know you got to make a couple trips to Petty Raceway over the years. We've talked about Miramichi some, but what do you think of Petty Raceway, and are you looking forward to possibly getting back there in 2021?
Yeah, I love Petty. I would dare say that's my favorite track, and we are looking forward to getting back there. Hopefully we're allowed to go with fans and stuff soon, and then we'll definitely make our way up there. I don't know when our first race we plan on going there is, but if there's anything sooner that we get the green and then we're definitely going to try to get up there for sure, as much as possible.
So my next question, it maybe isn't so great of a memory, but a few years ago, and I don't remember if it was 18 or 19 on Speed Weekend, there was a little incident that happened down the backstretch, and how did that end up for you? Because I remember it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty. We had to reclip my car. It needed a lot of work in the off season, but we got it done. And then we're getting it figured back out now. But no, it was quite the event. But luckily everybody was okay, and yeah.
If I remember correctly, did you guys get that car fixed so fast that you headed for the Mike Stevens race about 2 or 3 weeks later?
We tried. I think it was 2 weeks later. We probably shouldn't have tried. We were just determined to to do it. It was funny because right after that wreck, Wayne came over and was talking to my dad and was like, "Hey, are you guys coming to the Mike Stevens race?" And my dad's like, "Wayne." Anyways, and we're like, and he's like, "Well, I really like having you on my racetrack." And we're like, "Well, we're gonna try, Wayne. Like, we're gonna try our best." And we We did attempt to go there, and then we took the car out for practice, and it wasn't good, so we just parked it. And yeah, and then we found out it did definitely need to be re-clipped and all sorts of other things. So no, we didn't make it to the race, but we did try.
So I want to, not to put pressure on you, I guess, but to ask about the points. You said you're just going to kind of go to the track and let things happen. But at the end of the summer, if there's a points championship trophy with your name on it, how would that feel? How would you celebrate that? There's a lot of big names that have won a championship at 660 over the years.
Yeah, that would be great. It's been a long time since I've even won a race, let alone been in any kind of contention for a championship. So that would be cool for sure. Yeah, hopefully we can get our season restarted and go from there. It would be great to be in the list of people who have won it. That would be great.
Dylan, I think there's a couple questions for Destiny coming in. What do you got over there?
Well, Randy Titus just
Oh
wrote,
no.
he wrote, "Can Dad put you in a 4-cylinder for the Gunslinger this year?"
Oh, I mean, can my dad be in a 4-cylinder? Have a 4-cylinder that I know of. I mean, just on Marketplace, like, who knows? Was that the question?
Yeah, you could be a pay driver maybe and buy your way a new car.
I mean, I don't know. I would potentially be open to something like that. I've never drove a 4-cylinder. I don't know how much I.
So is Randy offering his car? I guess that's the next question, right? Maybe.
Well, by the tone, he wrote, "Can Dad put you in a 4-cylinder?" You know, it's an open-ended question there.
I thought it was your dad.
So I
tell Randy we'll talk about this over a bonfire someday.
So before we get to the other questions on there, Dylan, I want to ask: is Ron interested in hopping in a 4-cylinder car? Because I think that'd be kind of neat.
My dad?
Yeah.
He really wants an AOW car. He really wants an AOW car, and I don't know if he wants it just to have it, like his collection of lawnmowers. Have you seen the moped he bought?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, he seems to want an AOW car. I don't know what his plans are for the AOW car, but he wants one. So yeah, he sometimes talks about jumping into a car. I kind of think he's a talk, but maybe someday.
So for those that have an Atlantic Modified Tour car, contact Destiny. I'm sure we can get that thing sold.
No, please.
But
please don't.
not to put words in Ron's mouth, but just in case, and you have one sitting around. We've got a conversation now going on about a 4-cylinder car over there, do we, Dylan?
Yeah, we sparked the fire, but then it was extinguished pretty darn quick. Daniel Teo wrote, "I heard you're driving the 75 and the Gunslinger." And then Randy wrote right after, "I would like to run my own." But then he wrote that maybe there could be a few available. So, hey, we got a really great Sportsman driver here. So come on. I mean, we got pay drivers in Formula One and NASCAR. I'm sure we can get one with a good sponsor in a Gunslinger race.
Now, Ricky said when he got into one, it was fun, but never again. So, have you driven a 4-cylinder car even for a test or anything, Destiny?
No, never.
Okay, so just
I really don't think I'm the man.
Just don't listen to
I
Ricky.
really don't think I'm the man for but
I'm sure they're a blast. We're live and interactive. Drop us a question, drop us a comment. We've got Destiny Enkel for a few more moments. So looking forward to this season. We mentioned the stuff at 660. They got the Firecracker, you got Speed Weekend. Is there anything else outside of 660 that you're looking forward to? Because I know you mentioned those petty races. Maybe if COVID happens and we can convince Ron to go across the border and maybe to Nova Scotia, is there anything you're looking forward to this year outside of maybe 660?
I'm definitely looking forward to the Mike Stevens race and any race that we happen to do in Petty. Had a really good car in Shediac last year, and I kind of really, really messed up a race there. So I'm looking forward to getting back there and seeing what we can do there.
with those big car counts that they had at Petty last year. I know some of the results weren't what you wanted to, but how cool was it to race with 25, 26, upwards of 30 cars in that Mike Stevens race from, cars from all over New Brunswick and Nova Scotia?
No, that's great, and it's really awesome to see. It's very exciting. It's always when you get 30 sportsman cars together, it's always a little bit dicey because we're usually used to running like 10 or so at our weekly races, and then you throw us all together. But no, it's great. It's exciting. I love to see that. I love big races and high car counts, and so hopefully we get more of that.
Riding up high, trying to get through on the inside, and he is going to take that spot away. Can he hold it? Nicely done. I thought he might get a little slideways there for a moment, but he's up to third spot.
And now the 52 has to hold.
I did great this week preparing the B-roll on this stuff, so thanks to Paul for helping us out there. But there's no fire extinguishers being thrown, so I guess it's a good night. But let's look forward to Speedway 660. Mention championship, mention the all those other ones. The Ricky Bobby race is one of those races that all those guys and gals that move up from street stock say they want to go back to. If you had a car offered, would you go back to the Ricky Bobby race and do that?
I would love to do that. That would be awesome. That'd be great.
Is there any other street stock race, or you'd like to go back and kind of check the list off to get up there, get a podium, win a race?
No, not necessarily, but I had the opportunity to race the and I should know the name of this, but I don't remember what it was called, the big street stock race they had in PEI that time. I think it was just a street stock showdown. That was a great experience. I loved PEI. I would love to go back there. Obviously, we don't race late models there. So we'd love to do that again.
But they do pro stocks over there. So we haven't asked the question yet. If a pro stock lands in your front lawn, and there has been some pro stocks around with that Tucker camp, would you take the opportunity to hop up?
No. No. Not right at the moment, at least.
I guess that's a quick answer. I guess we'll go with that. Denver, what else do you got over there? I see the wheels turning.
So, Tim, you just said if a pro stock was to land, but is Dustin and Sean going to ever let you run theirs?
I'm not really interested. I think I'm okay.
So you're content to run Sportsman? And
yeah, I'm good for now. I'm happy here. Dustin has driven. He drove both my street stock and my Sportsman, so I should bug him a little bit and see if I can get him to agree. But no, I'm not. I don't really want to.
Absolutely. So I know we kind of mentioned this earlier. You kind of alluded that Dustin figured some things out before going to Shediac last year. You had a pretty good run that day. If I wasn't there, but tell us a little bit about that performance.
Oh, so the first race, the long race, I think it was a 100 lapper. We had a really good car, and then I think we were up to like third or fourth, I want to say, and the gas pedal broke off going into 3 and 4. So anyways, so we came in and I jumped out and Dustin dove in and fixed it, and anyways I got back in and we were actually a lap down, but we raced our way back to fourth. So that was cool. But fourth was like the highest because we were still a lap down. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then the next day, they had a 50 lapper the next day, and I was leading at like, I don't know, quite a ways through it. And I might have hit the clutch instead of the brake pedal and spun out on my own. And Dustin reminds me of that every single day.
That's okay. Things happen.
Yeah. It still hurts a little bit, but it's fine.
Okay, I want to debug the myth because I know Wade the last couple of years, prior to us correcting him last year, you're not from Musquash.
I am not from Musquash. I lived in Maces Bay when I was like 2 or 3 for like a year, which is like close. Like you could call that Musquash, but no, I'm not. I haven't spent a great deal of time there by any means. I don't really know where that came from.
Well, the fire department's on the car, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably why. No, I'm not necessarily from there. We kind of.
so we've got some nickname stuff to take care of now, and I'm sure chat can help us a little bit because you were from St. John, and Jesse coined you the Port City Princess, and that kind of stuck. And then you moved to Royal Road, and that kind of still sticks. Princess, Royal Road, sort of deal. Darling's Island.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what do we do?
I have nothing. I have no idea. It's all on you.
No,
At least I'm closer to St. John now. I always thought it was really funny when they would say the Port City Princess from Fredericton, and I was like, well, I don't think anybody's gonna get it, but.
So we don't want to go back to that name, but I guess we absolutely have to. We could. But I know Chad, I'm sure, can help us out, and I know there's going to be people watching afterwards. So if you have any ideas for nicknames with Darling's Island involved, drop them down there. I'm sure Denver and Wade can probably have that conversation on Sunday as well, right, Denver?
Why is this being thrown on my shoulders, Tim?
You're going to be sitting beside Wade. I'm not allowed in the province.
I'll let Wade take care of this one. I think Wade's pretty creative.
Oh. Does Wade realize I moved though?
That's part of the fun.
He does, because I corrected him for the first week. Now that might change for week 2, but I corrected him for the first week.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So if you have an idea, if you're on Facebook, you're watching us, drop us an idea for what could potentially be a new nickname for driver number 52.
Darling Bay Destroyer.
The what?
What?
Darling Bay Destroyer. Is that what you said? Or was I half listening?
Darling's Island.
Darling's Island Destroyer. Close enough.
Says the guy.
Oh, sorry, that's what she does. That's what she does a demo race. I'm sorry.
Says the guy that has Demo and Dazzling as his nicknames. Okay, so he's obviously fired.
There we go. Tim, Dazzling, Darling's Island, Destiny.
Wow, that's long.
That's gimmick infringement.
That's a gimmick infringement. We're gonna have to get her a red coat and everything. I mean, the wardrobe budget's gonna go up through the roof.
Yeah, give her a van that doesn't work,
Okay, so here's the question: would you ever go into a Miramichi demolition?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so
I've never even watched one. Are they quite intense?
Ooh.
Maybe I'll go watch one and then I'll get back to you.
Give her VIP to the trailer race on the 19th.
Yeah, potentially.
They
have a
I'm not allowed to.
Figure 8 trailer race on May 9th or June 19th.
No, ask my dad if I'm allowed to tow a trailer.
Well, I mean, you don't have to go in the figure 8 trailer race. There is a powder puff race, so you could go in that. I mean, somebody needs to beat Sam Jardine because she seems to be the one that wins every single week. What?
Monique Benoit beat Sam Jardine.
That was once, right?
And Sam also got beat in March.
Yeah. Okay, so twice. She got beat twice last year by Amber Sickles.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, somebody needs to stop the streak. So it may as well be you, and plus, I'm sure Barry would find you a car for Miramichi, right? So if you had
on the marketplace.
Okay, so the next question will be, because we just had this with Travis. You and Ron line up side by side in a race, equally prepared race cars. Who wins?
I mean, I don't think either of us would make it to the finish line. I feel like Ron would wreck me. But I mean, I'd like to say me.
So if you give him a head start, you have the strategy game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with me. I'm just going to bet on myself.
Okay, that makes sense. Marketing partners on the side of the race car. We mentioned the fire department. Who else is on the race car this year? Who do you got that's hopped on board for 2021?
Yeah, so we have Musquash Fire Department. We have Hunter's High Tech Auto, Pave All. We have Enkel Trucking and A Plus Beauty. I think I got it all.
Okay, so what about the crew? Because you said there are some that are a little older in age.
So yeah, we have obviously my dad, and we have Bim that helps us, and my grandfather Bill, and my nephews are they're in the garage every night. So we'll count them. That's Colton. He's there all the time. And Dustin. And yeah.
Dylan, is there any final thoughts from social before we cut Destiny loose tonight?
Well, Chef Will from Valley Raceway is watching and gave you some words of encouragement, Destiny. And I want to ask this question as well, because the female racers we've had on the show, it's so cool to see more girls getting into racing. What would you say to a girl who's thinking, well, it's a boys' sport. How can I get into it? What are some words of encouragement you could offer a young lady who wants to get into racing?
I mean, kind of answer your question. When we raced last at Speedway 660, there was a little girl who her parents came over to talk to me, and she was probably, I would say, like 2, no older than 3. Her name was Annabelle, and her parents told me that she sleeps with a steering wheel every night because she wants to be a race car driver when she grows up. And I think that is awesome, and that kind of stuck with me because I think, like, wow, she's 2 years old, and it's not like, can I do this? It's like, I'm gonna do this.
Jason Pickles wrote, Tim, Demolition Destiny sounds like a good nickname.
But she's racing late model sportsman cars.
Yeah, we don't want Demolition. That's a lot of money. How about Dominating Destiny?
Dominate? That sounds like, I don't think that's a good idea.
If the points continue the way they are, then potentially, right?
I mean, Alex is technically winning. I'm still going to go with that.
Technically, they haven't fixed the heat race from 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago.
But if it ended right now, Alex won the race, so she'd get it. So I think we can just call Alex the points leader.
But tiebreakers on race 1 don't count.
I get off my back.
So for those that are on the fence about coming to Speedway 660 on Sunday or coming to the next race at Speedway 660, why should they come out and watch a race in the Gary Woods, and why should they cheer for the 52 car?
They should definitely come out and watch a race because it's very exciting and fun. And it's great to be around, socially distanced, but be around people nowadays. Why should they cheer for the 52 car? I don't know. There's little kids, I have Paw Patrols on my car. They like the Paw Patrols.
So do you know all the names of the Paw Patrols?
No. I think they come up with new ones every day. I feel like I just get them and then all of a sudden they're like gone. I know like Marshall because he's like the firefighter. Sky is the pink one for lack of a better. I think Rumble is one. Chase is obviously Chase. I think there's an Everest. That's all I got.
I think you named more than I think me, Denver, Dylan, and Paul could do combined.
Perfect.
So you're doing
really
better than us.
Is the theme song burned into your brain?
No, I honestly don't even know if I've ever watched a full episode. I know like the chase is on the case part, but that's all I know.
How did we get to this topic, Tim?
If you win on Sunday, I want you to ask Wade if he knows the Paw Patrols.
I will do that for sure.
Excellent.
And I will ask him if he wants some organic cheddar ducks too.
Okay, can we tell that story before we go? That was a couple of years ago, and was it Kids Day or Fan Appreciation Day? You were giving away, was it like the Kirkland Costco brand? Yeah. Like they looked like goldfish, but they were organic cheddar ducks is what they were called.
Yeah, I'm sure they tasted exactly like goldfish. I'm sure they were great, but when you asked people if they wanted some organic cheddar ducks, they were very confident, no.
Well, Wade is vegan, and Wade said no.
Yeah, Wade said no.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you, and I was like, who's going to take the organic cheddar ducks? And you're like, well, Wade's into that stuff. And no, he even turned down my organic cheddar ducks.
Well, maybe you can ask him in Victory Lane or on the podium interview on Sunday for us, right?
Yeah, I think Luke was beside me and he was handing out Play-Doh or something. I didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, see, I guess up the game. Once this COVID deal gets out of the way, we can worry about that, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do.
This has been a blast, Destiny. Thanks for joining us, and good luck coming up on Sunday at the Kids Day.
Thank you.
Okay, Denver, Dylan, it's time to talk fantasy points. And Dylan, you were on top last week. What happened?
Mark, best didn't happen for me, I guess. Sorry, Mark. Just saying, just the results. But hey, I thought I was going to be well on top with Travis getting the big win, but you know, stuff can happen in racing, and Sarah Thorne got a big win at Eastbound last weekend, which kind of messed up the points.
Yeah, congratulations to Sarah Thorne, by the way. First female driver to win a sportsman race at Eastbound Park. Brittany Hoyt actually picked Sarah, so she moves up a little bit. I'm running on 3 consecutive second-place finishes. Denver, you're right behind. You're not doing too bad this year.
No, not doing too bad, Tim. What do I have? I think I have a third, a second, and a third. So yeah. I'll take that. You know, it's still a long season, but look at the top 3 separated by 6 points, and then look at the bottom 3.
And it's the Halifax point system we're running, so it's 2 points per position on down, 100 for a win. So the top 3 are looking good. Brittany's kind of pulled away. We are going back to the sharpshooter race that we had picked 2 weeks ago, per se. Is that Meredith?
That's Meredith.
She sounds angry.
She said, yeah.
She is angry.
Flip the screen.
I'm frustrated. I'm getting talked about.
Meredith, this is a live show.
This is what happens.
She said, and I quote, "I like picking underdogs."
Okay, so flip the screen. We'll see what she picked for Sunday's sharpshooter race, and we're gonna see. You know what, Denver? I think you have the underdog for this.
I do. I potentially have the underdog. I mean, Randy Titus, I wouldn't say is an underdog, but
no, by no means.
But no, by no means. But yeah, Brandon Young, I picked him a couple of weeks ago, and COVID won, or I shouldn't say COVID, the government won. Hopefully this weekend we get to see some racing. But yeah, Brandon Young had the fastest lap times at the Review Ford Lincoln season opener, and when you are fast, it's only a matter of time before you win. So Brandon Young is going to give me the points lead.
When did they ever pay to win practice?
Listen, it got to translate into results eventually.
I've got BJ Gillespie. Brittany has technically BJ Gillespie. She's got the bucket. Meredith has Randy Titus. I like that pick. Dylan, I like your pick too. Matt Martin, I think, is going to be strong.
I think so, to kind of echo what I said a few weeks ago before the race got kiboshed by the government. I feel strong about him. You know, he did a little street stock racing last year, had a strong run a few weeks ago or 1,000 years ago, whenever the last race was at 660. I think he's going to come out strong here in that 33 teal machine.
And for the fans, they can head starting tomorrow to timscorner.ca/fantasy picks, and you can make your pick on who's going to win the race. Everybody that makes the right pick is going to go into a draw at the end of the season. We're going to make a draw for something. I haven't talked to Keith McIntosh, but I'm sure there's going to be some St. Louis Bar and Grill stuff in there. There'll be some Tim's Corner swag. There'll be something in that season-ending prize pack. And if the fans win, they get a trophy or a belt or whatever we're doing for the year-end trophy. So timscorner.ca/fantasy picks to make your pick starting tomorrow for the Fredericton Gun Shop Sharpshooters race at Speedway 660 coming up on Sunday. I'm excited for this next guest. This is going to be fun. Driver of one of those legend cars in the background of him, working with Cy with the hot rods, former race director on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, raced about everything in his career. Danny Harvey, welcome to Tim's Corner Live.
Yes, thank you. Glad to be here.
So how's your winter been?
You know what? Slow. This COVID thing makes it bad with work and trying to get together a bunch of guys to work on race cars. It's been Jeff and myself, and that's pretty much it. Our girlfriends stand around and watch us a little bit. That's about it.
Well, it looks like Jeff behind just got some work to do, right?
He has he had the first pick of the hoist. So the 37 car is pretty much ready. We just got to scale it. So Jeff's car is pretty much ready as well, but we just haven't got at it. We're waiting. This next phase is supposed to lift, so hopefully we'll get back racing here. But hard to get excited when they close the racetracks and you can't race. So.
We got a couple of weeks before we get to racing, at least here in Nova Scotia. Yeah. I want to rack your brain a little bit. Let's go back. We had these 2 kids that were just on the show that started out racing a couple of years ago. When did you get your start in racing?
My start in racing, wow. 92, 93. I think I was always scared to get in front of a crowd. And so my very first time ever in front of a crowd was in demolition derby cars at Metro Center. Cy and I had a bunch of team cars and cleaned up there one weekend. Yeah, it was fun. And after that, race car the very next month. So.
I was gonna say, not to make you feel old, but the two guests that we just had, I don't think were born in 92, 93. So
Yeah,
yeah, we got that covered. What was the first race car that you had besides the Demolition?
Would have been Hobby Stock, a 72 Nova. Yeah, with a 01 on it, and Dustin, Si's son, and I shared it, and we raced it at Scotia, and then I built a Hobby Stock car the very next year. So.
And that would have been the years that they still had, alphabet soup for features, right?
Yeah, we did. We had a few. We had 95 cars, I think, when I was racing. But there was times they had their own week through the own day through the week that they raced because they had like a couple hundred cars, right? So a lot of cars.
I'm looking over on the other side of the screen. We're live and interactive on Facebook. So if you have a question or a comment, be sure to drop it down below. I'm going to handle this one. Your son wants his welder back.
Not until the race cars are finished.
So he's going to have to come over to the shop to borrow it, right?
Well, there's one thing we take the pride in, and that's having lots of bumpers. So we have a bunch of bumpers to repair from years of racing and some new ones to build, and then he can have it back. We need to build up a nice stockpile. We're planning on having some competitive racing this year, Jeff and I together. We've wrecked our own bumpers before on each other, and it's fun. So.
I was going to talk about Timothy a little bit later on, but since he's watching, let's blow his head up a little bit. How cool is it to have Timothy in the shop and also being at the racetrack, helping us on a Friday night next door scoring and doing the lineup and leaderboard and all that fun stuff?
I have mixed emotions with that, being he's watching. You always wanted to do things with your son, and then when I worked at the racetrack, I brought him and my wife at the time into racing, and they stayed with it. And I went back driving instead of officiating, and they stayed doing that. So, you know what? It's the side that they like. They get a front row seat to watch me race. And we have these cars, we don't ever really wreck them that much. We're all good drivers, or we take pride in that we don't wreck all the time. And so you don't need a big crew, but it'd be nice to have him there on the other side sometimes. But he uploads pictures when we win and stuff, and so he's watching, and it's enjoyable as well. So.
He keeps us honest on a Friday night, I'll tell you that much, up in the tower. You talked about Hobby Stock. There was a Sportsman step in between there too. That Janet King car looked pretty sharp in the day.
It did. I raced that for I think it was 3 years. I don't think I finished. I think a couple of years it was like 5th in points. 2 years in a row, won Rookie of the Year with it. I enjoyed that. It was of all the racing I'd like to do again, and it'd be Sportsman car. I think after we're done with all the legend cars and stuff, and the Hot Rod Classics are fun now. So I'd like to get in one of. Cy has 2 of them, so I'll probably get to run one of them this year coming. So when we go to Petty and stuff. So the Sportsman car was fun. But I raced a legend car for 1 year back in 2000 with Bruce from Janet King. I raced his actual legend car. So and then I stepped out of that. I finished. I won 2nd in points, Rookie of the Year in that legend car, first time ever in one of them. And then I stepped away for like a bunch of years before I went back here about 8 years ago racing legend cars again. So.
You've raced those legend cars for a while, though. Like, you had that little break in between, but how much has a legend car changed since the early 2000s to 2021?
I don't, not at all to drive them. You have to be on the edge of out of control all the time if you want to be fast. You can go out and have fun with them. Plenty of people do, but when you want to be competitive, you've got to be right on the edge of wondering whether it's going to stick, turn, brake, and if you're not going to be competitive. You've got to, they're tricky to drive. You got to be on top of the wheel for sure.
I know Cy wasn't quite sure what to think of that FZ09 motor when it came out, but what's your thought on the motor, and what's your thought on these brand new Hoosier tires that we got?
Well, I'll tell you, I worry a little bit. I've lost a few pounds, so I'm a little lighter this year for getting in them. But last year when they first came out, I think, Jesus, my weight, 3-cylinder motor, not sure it'll even pull me up off the corner. So, and I actually haven't tried one, so I'd like to try one just to see what they're like. But I don't know. I like the 1250 power, and to spend the kind of money that legend cars want for you to go to that FZ09 motor. I don't think the money you have to spend until all these 1200s and 1250s we have all blow up and we have none left. I think we'll stay with them. So until at least the other motor, they're having some troubles with them. And hear some horror stories, and we just don't want to go down that road and pay thousands of dollars to convert when we got lots of other motors.
We are live and interactive here this evening. Be sure to drop us a comment or a question for Danny Harvey, and we'll get it to him. Dylan, I know you probably got a couple of questions about the hot rods that he mentioned.
Yeah, Danny. Well, good to see you, and it's exciting to hear that you're. It's exciting to hear that you're thinking about getting behind the wheel and joining the Hot Rod Classics. And we're seeing on social media so many guys dabbling in, young and old, we'll call it. How exciting is it to see the Hot Rod Classics grow to what it's become and what it could potentially become this season if we get running soon?
You know what? You watch a lot of stuff on Facebook and see people build cars, and it's exciting to see everybody have that excitement to get into a new class, because you always worry when a new class starts. Is there going to be any cars? Are we going to have a class to race? Are we going to be able to put on a show? And that's, I think it's a challenge with all the classes of cars around the Maritimes to start a new class and have the excitement that Paddy Lawrence and them guys have created with the Hot Rod Classics. And you just worry sometimes about getting out in left field as far as what the class was designed for. And it was to take some old pro stock cars, put some bodies on them, go racing, have some fun. When you see guys building some of the cars they're building, like, wow, a lot of money just to go have a little bit of fun. And it's like every classic car. The money starts, people start throwing money at it, and the guy that can grab the old car out of the garage in the back corner that's been sitting there archived because it's outdated doesn't even bother building that anymore, because the other cars have sort of priced them out of the game, sort of thing, right? So that's what I worry about with that class. So, and any class for that matter, it happens with every class. Like they get so out in the becomes a money sport and no longer a fun sport, like your 4-cylinder cars and your, like, all that sort of stuff, right? Like I don't know, that's just my own perspective. I mean, but that's how I see the Hot Rod Classic. Is there's just a lot of nice newer chassis, newer stuff being built versus the old ones I built. If everybody, like the 49 car was a Phil Barcoach car with the 99 way back when Phil Barcoach raced. That car is old. Roger Miller raced it. Like Cy raced it. It's like that thing's got more laps on it than most of the cars on the track, right? So it and a lot of wrecks and a lot of smashes, and that was the purpose of that classic Hot Rod Classic, was to do that. And that's just my thought.
So what's the other car that you and Cy and the crew have been working on? We've seen different photos, but what exactly is in that car?
That car, just to give some history on it, the crate motor that's in that car was one of the very first crate motors when Pro Stock went crate, and Wayne Smith brought it into the series. So that motor, to give you that, like, so way back when the crate motors came, that is the original motor that Wayne Smith had. So it's got a lot of laps, and it's old, and it was in the 49 car when Haas raced it and won Rookie of the Year with it. So that motor's, it had a lot of other people, like the different drivers racing it. And it's the chassis itself is the old 94 car that Russell Smith Jr. ran. We bought it from Randy Jollymore, and Frank put the body on it for Cy, and we put the motor and everything in and got it all geared up, and it's ready to go. Once these legend cars are done, I'm bringing it over and getting it geared up and for Cy, and we're gonna make sure nothing's falling off it and scale it and set it up.
One more question before we throw back to Tim in Denver. So last year, Danny, I mean, everything was up in the air, kind of like this year with COVID. We got the audible that we were going hot rod racing earlier and at Petty during the River Glade weekend. You know, what were your and Cy's expectations with that series? We weren't sure how many cars were going to be showing up. And I mean, Cy and Patrick Horn put on a show towards the end there for the fans.
They did. And Cy could attest to this. And he would, he doesn't care if it's lawnmowers. He's going to race it. He'll get in anything and race it. So 5 cars, 3 cars, as long as it's a race, he's having fun, smiling, and making laps. I mean, I've seen him, we rent the racetrack and him just go out, not race one year, and we just run laps in that Pro Stock car. And as long as he get in and could make some laps, he was happy. And when he's happy, I'm happy. And that's why I do it. I like to help him and ensure that nothing's falling off that car or any of the cars we drive for that matter. And we want to make sure they're safe first, because we're just there to have fun. Like we finish second, we finish first, we finish last. It doesn't matter. We're just running laps, and when you're in them race cars, no telephones ringing. You don't have to talk to nobody, right? It's awesome.
Yeah, I think I saw the grin on his face there, Tim, the entire time he was going around Petty that first race.
Yeah, all you can see is teeth, right?
I want to ask you about that phone thing and kind of transition into the youth, because Saya told me before that this legend division now the last couple of years, it's like racing with his grandkids. What do you feel like when you're out there racing with those, the Corey Halls, the Nicholas Noggles, the Braden Langels, and you and Jeff are out there trying to get to the front at the same time?
Well, yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, it's like every class of car. If you're going to win every week, it's boring. It's not fun anymore. You'll get the guys that move on to another class because they're winning and they know they can get in a car at any time and win. It's like Corey Hall could get in a car at any time and win with it. And he had to move on to another class because it wasn't fun anymore, right? I would just assume be mediocre and not that good, let's put it that way, to where I can just race for a different position every week and have fun. If I won every week, I wouldn't have fun. And right now I'm having fun. I don't mind finishing at the back. One line I always used to use, I finished last way more times than I ever finished first, and I'm still okay. I'm still alive. It's great. And I think that's the big thing with some of these kids. They don't know what it's like to lose. And I've said this before, I think, Tim, in interviews on the front stretch when I've wandered in there with you interviewing me, is they just have fun, to go out and race these cars and be so competitive that you come in and set yourself in the trailer and you're mad because you didn't win, because you spun yourself out or somebody run into you. Just be thankful you're on the right side of the sod and you're being able to do something you love doing. So stop taking it so competitive, and just enjoy the moment and run your laps, right? So, and
I know those wins are enjoyable, and I know you got a couple in those legend cars. What sticks out to you as memorable wins in your racing career?
The best one, well, I wouldn't say it was the best one, but I was running third behind Cy and Ian Mullins at Scotia, and I was watching them, and Cy had always taught me, sometimes just back up a little bit when you see somebody racing hard. Something might happen. If you're going to finish third, you're going to finish third. But if something may happen, you may end up with a win. If you're too close, you may get tangled in it. So I was watching them. I backed up a little bit as much as I dare because there's guys coming behind you, right? And the next thing I know, I watched Cy and Ian Mullins go down through the infield of Scotia Speed World on the white flag, and I come around and won the race. So that was probably the one of the lessons from Cy that won me my race, because normally I'd be right there in it, and we might have been three of us down through the infield, right? So that was the one. And then there was one, I remember one night, it's this Jeff Crookshanks, and then probably don't like hearing about it, but the night that Jeff and his nephew was get into it in the turn, I won that turn night. 3. And I think I posted a picture of us winning, saying I went to a race, went to a fight and won a race, right? So, but sorry, Jeff, if you're listening, but them are just the memorable ones. You remember all that stuff, right? So,
and I know we've
about memory. So
we've had some memorable nights at the racetrack. Weren't you a part of the wedding that Darren had a couple of years ago?
I wasn't part of, but I was there. Yeah.
Is there anything else memorable from outside the racetrack that you remember that we can tell?
Outside, you know what I had when I was race director, and Tim, we spent a lot of time up and down the road together. We probably spent more time, all of us together, than we did with family a lot of the times, right? So, there was a lot of rain out nights in Prince Edward Island where
I know where that's going.
Right? Do you remember the first time you ever drank? I think I give you your first drink.
Yeah, you did. I think Mark Wilson remembers it a lot more than anybody else does, because I think he was sitting right beside me.
Yeah. But that's as far as I'll take it. But that's memories. And you know what? And it was a lot of fun. I don't regret any of it. Not saying I'll ever go back and ever do it again, because it was one of them things Ernie Ledwidge told me. He said, you can't be race director and be liked. And I tried to be, and he's right. You had to be tough, and I made mistakes during it all. We're all human. We make mistakes, right? So, and some that I'm not proud of, and some I'm glad I made the decisions I made. But as far as but memories, it's memories, and was all family. Like every bit of the racing that we've done, we all did it together, like to Scotia, to every racetrack. And it's nice. You can walk into a racetrack and everybody knows you. It's a nice feeling to go in and everybody say hi. And I mean, that's what it's all about.
I know I gave Paul the picture. I'm not sure if he has it loaded, but the trip to North Carolina, I know Cy's done a lot of racing down south. We got to go to North Carolina to the last Wilkesboro race, and we got to go to Hendrick and get the shop tour with Shane. That was kind of neat. Is there any other memories that you can think of racing trips, maybe down with Cy or down south?
We went. I raced my legend car in Charlotte with Janet. They towed me to Charlotte, and we went through the start. We went to the start of the number 9 to head down. We were fueling up at the Irving. Our side pulled in to fuel up, and we pulled over with our motorhome and parked off to the side. And Cy says, "You guys don't need gas?" No, Bruce said, "This thing's easy on gas." And Cy was fueling up, and we went all the way through the number 9, and so we got to the racetrack, and we're sitting in there, and we're having. Cy has this big chocolate cake in his motorhome, and his air conditioning's not working, and our air conditioning is. So he comes over into the motorhome, and he comes in, and he said, "I raced 30 years. Nobody's ever towed me to Charlotte." And anyway, we had fun. There was 400 and some cars there for Winter Nationals, and like I watch you now when you go down south to these Winter Nationals, and there's 40, 50 cars. I mean, we had 400 and some cars. We started qualifying at 7 a.m. in the morning. They were still doing the grass when I qualified because I was number 1 and I was C, so I qualified early and no sun on the track. But I qualified good, and we had a good run until I hit the wall right about where Jeff Gordon pitted, I think, but and ripped the wheel off the car. So, but it was a very memorable trip. And then there was our trip to Charlotte. If you remember coming to the New York Bridge, do you remember the 2 levels? And we did the Days of Thunder move. We had the rental car that they told me, it's when you bring it back, we're sending it right to auction. So we went up over the curb, didn't we? The sparks were flying.
Chaz almost put us off the road coming through the Cobblebrook Pass, I remember.
Yeah, fog. Yeah, no, it was the trip. But I mean, I'm glad we did that trip. I mean, Chaz, God rest his soul, he's gone now, and but that was just before he passed away. That was the year before we went on that road trip. And you know what I always say, things happen for a reason. Well, I think that's why we went on that road trip. And it was to get in Robbie Gordon's shop in through the back door, and that's just memories that things you'll never do again, right? So it was fun.
Absolutely. We're live and interactive telling stories here this evening with Danny Harvey. I know the McMillans are watching, and they have a car that's quite familiar to you sitting in their shop. For a young driver that's just moving up into legend cars, or a driver that might be looking at that move to legend cars, what kind of advice can you give them on their move?
Be patient. Don't go out expecting to win the very first time. And I'll take one out of Ernie's book, because I learned a lot from Ernie. Ernie, I looked up to Ernie when we raced, and he used to just tell you, race the racetrack. Don't race the car in front of you, race the racetrack. Run your groove, hit your marks, hit your brakes where you need to, and race that racetrack. Don't worry about your competitors around you, and the rest will take care of itself. With these legend cars, it's really, they're tough. I mean, these young kids, man, I don't know, whether it's video games. I never ever played video games, but man, they're good. And I have all the confidence in the world that Dylan's going to do well with it. He's a good kid. And I wouldn't have liked to seen it really go to anybody else. They're a family that's their whole life is around racing and their kids. And Cy and Cy more even so than me, he just enjoys seeing kids take something that he has and doing with it. And I mean, he's put a lot of people in race cars, right? So, and we do it. If I mentioned to sort of Cy that we should put somebody in a car, yeah, let them try it. And I mean, even back to Haas, it was well, we might as well take it and race it, and just sitting there collecting dust and off. We went, next thing you know, we raced for a year with it. Right? So, but these legend cars and Dylan, I give him a little bit of advice, just to be patient and just drive the race car, have fun. And it is tough to see that car go, letting me and that car go back a long ways. And we won a lot of races, and we didn't really wreck a lot. And that was a good car.
I want to ask you about the pro stock scene and where it's going, because obviously you've been the race director before. You've been with Cy, you've been with Haas, you've done the pro stock stuff before. What do you think of the direction the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour is going, and that whole division in general?
Do you know what? I wouldn't really want to speculate on where I think it's going. I mean, it's COVID's got a lot to do with everything that's happening. Like what I said last year when COVID hit and the racing didn't start. Sometimes when you're not racing, you get to see there's more to life and there's other things you like to do, and you worry that the guys, I mean, your money's always going to be there, and the guys with money are always going to race. But the guys that do it for fun realize, you know what, I enjoyed that weekend at the camper and I've met some new friends, or I've enjoyed going here now and doing that. So now your class is dwindle because of that, right? And I don't think it has to do with anything to do with the sport or the tour, or more so that it's just life now. Everybody looks at life just a little different. I mean, myself in general, like, I mean, I don't care if I race every race. I just want to get in a car and race some laps. But if I decide I want to sit by the swimming pool for the weekend, I'm going to sit by the swimming pool and watch you online and get some updates that way, right? It's one of them things where it's not the most important thing. How can I put this? It's not the most important thing that we do every day. And I think that was another one out of Ernie's book, right? This is not the most important thing you're going to be doing this week. So don't make it so personal. And I think that's what a lot of people have realized. It's not the most important thing. It's fun, but it's not the most important thing. Family's important. Grandkids, kids, like hanging out with Timothy doing stuff is probably, I'd enjoy that more than going to the racetrack if I had to. Like, so, and I imagine a lot of other people are thinking the same way, right? And I'm glad that you're doing this thing, because it keeps I mean, I watch it often, and it keeps everybody in touch. So you know you're missing it in a roundabout way. So as soon as the track opens up, probably hell with the camp and hell with the pool, we're going racing, right? So, but it's easy to sit here now and say that because we can't race, right? But
yeah.
But here they sat, right? They're taking up the whole shop, right? So, and there was 2 other ones in here last week, right? So.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Denver, what do you got for Danny Harvey? I see the wheels turning over there.
Yeah, Danny, I kind of want to throw some questions at you, kind of related to being an official in the past. I can relate to that, as Tim knows, but we are starting to see a trend where, it's harder and harder to come by to find people to work at racetracks, and that's filling all roles from race director all the way down to the broom crew. Any advice to try to get people interested? If there's people out there watching and maybe thinking about that they want to get involved in racing, why should they maybe look at becoming part of a track crew?
Well, without crew, I mean, and I won't even use the word crew. Without a team, it's like a race car, right? Without a team, I mean, I work a lot here in the evenings myself on the car, and if I need a hand, I'll yell into the house or I'll call somebody, a friend, to come and give me a lift, right? But without a team, if there's no team at the racetrack, we have no racetrack to go to. If you don't have a flag, or you don't have, like Tim and you guys doing your announcing and what you do, there's nothing to go to, right? So it's no different than the race cars. Like, if race cars don't show up at the racetrack, there's nothing for officials to do. But what gets officials, and I'll throw this out to any drivers that are watching, and later on, if somebody watches this video, don't be so hard on the officials that are there. It's hard to get volunteers, or because, I mean, they don't make enough money to call it for money. It's volunteer, and because you enjoy the sport. And nothing worse than somebody that enjoys the sport getting into something to think they're helping, and then to have some driver yelling and screaming at them because they're just relaying a message that was sent from their race director or what have you, right? So, so drivers, just take it easy on the officials and know that if there is no officials there, we're not going to have a race track to race at, and that's I guess, right, the long and short of it, right? There's no way to put icing on top of it, but that's it. Like, but it's fun to officiate. It's nerve-wracking, but it's fun and gets the adrenaline going. I mean, Tim can tell you, him and I have had yells back and forth in the tower, and Tim, you can't say that on the loudspeaker, right? So, but it's that sort of thing that just the adrenaline gets going, and to be part of something is fun. And so anybody that's wanting to get into officiating, like, you wouldn't be disappointed if you did get involved in any way.
So another question I want to ask you is, when The preparation and execution of an event of a big scale, such as an IWK 250 or a 250 at Scotia Speed World, how would that compare to, say, just a standard racing event?
It's basically all the same. I mean, I would say a regular weekly race has more involved than the IWK. And what I mean by that is the IWK is a great, it's the great, our great race, right? So, but it's that race alone that it's so orchestrated, and Paul McLean and them had it so orchestrated and timed that it went off really, Tim, every time, without a hitch. And our weekly stuff, because we had so many different classes filling in with us, that you were trying to get that done so you could get on to the next one, because you had the big event you had to get in, and you're looking at the clouds. And I think the smaller shows were harder to run than that big show. Yeah, and is how I found it anyway, because I race direct them all. So I didn't find the IWK hard, but I mean, maybe we had lots of help there as well. Again, the team thing, right? There was more, the whole Riverside now became part of our tour. Whereas when we went to another racetrack, we had our small team and didn't have all that extra help, I guess might be the best way to put it.
One more question I want to throw at you before I throw it back to Tim. And you kind of mentioned that buzzword clouds and stuff like that. From your experience, what was the craziest weather event that you ever had to deal with as race director?
That would probably be PEI, because it was downpouring. We had there's no window in the tower in Antigonish or in PEI when I was the race director. I don't know whether they ever put a window in it or not, but it was wide open and lightning and like thunder and rain, and we're trying to cover the computers with tarps and plastic bags. So that's the one that sticks out the most, because the rest of it rained, right? We were in the tower where it was nice and dry in Antigonish, Scotia. We just looked at it, everybody else looking at them getting wet, right? For us as a team, I'd say that was probably the worst, would be the PEI rain dates we had.
I think Alan Curry, and God rest his soul, I think he put some sort of like vinyl or something up there a couple of years ago. And I don't think it's still there, obviously, with the winter, but he had a solution for everything, it seemed.
He did. And you know what? I miss him. So it's a soft spot of mine. Him and I spent a lot of time drinking together and running around in that pace car. It's like spinning tires, and yeah, we had a blast. So yeah, he's definitely missed for sure. And we had a lot of fun up and down the road. And you know what? He did a lot for the sport. Like all them vehicles we drove, the van I drove when I was race director was donated by him. Like he did a lot for the sport. So I'll never forget what he did for me whenever I was involved, for sure.
So let's look forward to this year. Obviously, we'll get this COVID out of the way. Besides, having a couple of cold ones at the racetrack after you're all said and done, what are you looking forward to this year when we get to the racetrack?
I'm looking forward to getting in one of them vintage cars, or even, you know what, I look forward every time I take tow size car to a race. I just look forward to seeing how that class is going to go with the amount of cars they are, and hopefully it stays fun, because we had fun last year even with the few cars we had, and it brings you back to the legend car days, way back when Sion first brought legend cars here. Everybody was a team, and what I mean by that is every car that was there and crew helped everybody, and that went to the wayside with legend cars over the years, because you couldn't even walk into somebody else's pit without them hovering over their car thinking you were there looking at it or whatever they were doing, right? But I found last year with the vintage cars, it was a group and a fun group that just interacted, enjoyed racing. So I just hope it doesn't get to that competitive stage that it becomes not fun for the ones that get into it for that purpose. And what Patty created it for was a tour to go around and for everybody to get along and like go do some car shows with them and that sort of thing. I just hope it doesn't get caught up in the competitive side of race that a lot of other classes have.
We'll make the last call on social media. If you got a question or a comment, be sure to drop it down there, and we'll get Dylan on the case here in a few moments. Obviously, Cy is still very active in the sport, but he's also active in the horse racing side of things. How's the horse doing?
The horse is doing good. I think he's got one in Ontario racing. I'm not sure if he even brought it back or not, but it was doing well. He's got a couple of horses at his place here, Burncoat. I go over and visit every now and again, and man, they're nice horses. But Yeah, I think he's racing horses now, or he can practice them. So he's been on a sulky practicing his horses and stuff, and waiting to get these race cars ready so he can get in them. So I think he's anxious as well. So.
Now, we don't have the video to show, but I know he was doing some sort of ice racing out there on his property earlier in the year with a Legend car. Were you a part of that?
No, I had a hand operation at the time they were doing it, so I couldn't try it. I really wanted to get in, but I kept looking at my hand thinking, maybe could I do it? Then I chose not to, right? So it would heal correctly. But this 37 car behind me had 15-inch Pro Stock tires on it with bolts drove out through them for spikes. And so when I brought it here, I had a lot of mud and grass, and there was a lot of cleaning. But you know what? It didn't sit around this winter and get any cobwebs on it and all the carbon's blown out of it. It's good to go racing. So
I guess that puts a new definition to Winter Nationals, right?
It sure does. Yeah.
Dylan, we'll get it over to you. Final thoughts? Anything on social?
Well, the McMillans just want to thank you, Danny, for your kind words to Dylan getting into the Legend Racing. Rob Bonus is watching. He said, well, Danny, for some of the words you were talking about officiating. And that's another driver who stepped away from the steering wheel into an officiating position. What would you recommend to a driver who would maybe think about that? Denver brought it up a little earlier, but maybe a driver's thinking, well, I don't really want to be racing anymore, but I still want to do something in racing. What would you say to them if they want to get into officiating?
Don't be scared to try it. We need, every sport needs knowledge in officiating in every aspect of it, whether it's Tim, you, Dylan, and Denver, you. There's you need to have the knowledge and be involved to enjoy it. And Rob has done an excellent job of stepping from the car into. I know he misses racing, and if he ever had the opportunity, he would probably race again. But I really think he enjoys his officiating. He's an awesome flagger. He's pointed a flag at me a few times, but never really waved one at me because I settled down. But I would just say, whatever you want to do, just do it. It's every racetrack would welcome any helper with open arms because there's places for everybody there. So.
I want to ask you about your buddy Jeff Cruikshank. I've gotten to know Jeff for the past few years racing at Valley Raceway. Him and Cy have taken that red truck on the dirt. I guess two questions. Number one, what does it mean to have a good buddy in racing like that who helps along with the Legends and the Hot Rod Classics? Number two, when are you going to go dirt racing?
I would love to try the dirt racing. I just never had time. I was with my work the last few years, and I bought a new house here and built this garage, and I didn't have a garage to work out of. So, but Jeff, I would have to say, is probably one of my best friends over the last few years. Been there with me through it all. I've been with him. When we go to the racetrack, I more worry about getting his car geared than I worry about mine second, or size first and mine second. That's the way they got to be geared up. But I remember one time Jeff and I got together on the racetrack and ripped the wheel off my car. And anyway, I just brought it in, and because we're friends, you load her up and you say no harm, no foul, and you go fix the car. Well, when I get home and unloaded the car, I went to reach in to steer the car in, and my seat's loaded with parts. Jeff went to his trailer and laid all the parts I wrecked and laid them on my seat for me to fix my race car. So, you know what? That's a true friend and a true competitor, right? So that's one of the things that stick out with me with Jeff. So I'll help him as much as he needs help, him inside.
I one more for me here. And again, if you got a quick question for Danny, leave it below and we'll get it to him. You brought up the trips you did with Tim down to the Carolinas, and North Wilkesboro has been in the news a lot with people wanting to bring the track back and so on and so forth. But you were there for one of those races back in the early 2010s. What was that like being at North Wilkesboro before it closed, unfortunately, again?
Just to be at a racetrack you never wrecked before is always fun anyway. But to be at a track that you knew was closed for years, and the speed they carried there was like amazing. Like I think Tim and I and Jazz walked right around the racetrack, I think, there, and sat almost in every bleacher to see what it was like, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was good to be part of, because I think that was the last race they had there as well. And now she's all grew up, so it was nice to be there and be part of that. So, like I say, it's just memories you'll never be able to have again, right? So,
except for the tornado warning on Saturday night, where we got rained out and we drank a lot of rum after the rain out. But nevertheless, this has been fun. We're coming up on the top of the hour, Danny. I want to thank you for being a part of this. We're gonna have to get Uncle Si on at some point, because now that we have you on here, the bar is raised for Si, right?
Yeah, we will. You know what? I'll invite him over here sometime, and we won't tell him we're good about it. But I think he would be part of it. And I got the real strong Wi-Fi here in the garage, because you never know when you might have to Google a setup and want to try something different, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, I think if we do one, I think we have to do the whole show with Si, because I don't think there's going to be any sort of stopping him with what we have. So
too many stories.
This has been awesome, Danny. Thank you very much. Want to thank Dylan Langell and Denver Matcha for helping us out here this evening. You can listen to this podcast back a little bit later on this evening on our podcast platforms. We want to thank all of our partners for coming on board here this evening. Paul Strickland has a show at Bedane TV coming up here in about 15 minutes. Head over to his Facebook page. Randy the Plumber is joining them tonight on the show for the Fatheads Cup Series. So go over and take a look at that. That's going to do it for us here this evening. Thank you to Danny Harvey and Travis Conroy and Destiny Enkel for joining us. Until next Wednesday, my name is Tim Terry. Keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.